What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste till my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If you wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Am I on screen? It actually works. It actually works.
Good for you. Good for you.
For those of you who aren't regulars to the show, good evening, welcome. But I have been having computer issues the last couple of weeks, and the resolution. You ready for this? A different search engine than Google
Yeah.
corrected it.
Yes.
How could that have possibly been it? So I'm thrilled to be back. And I'm sure Ken is too, because he's like, I'm not going to carry this the whole damn show.
Being back is fine. Staying here is the challenge, right?
Yeah, that's to be seen yet. Whether or not when I go off screen and Ken does the interview, if I come back, will I be here? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show. And we are as excited to be here as you guys are. Don't forget to hit that subscription button. Also, the thumbs up for the content, very important for the algorithm. Remember the algorithm. Always be kind to the algorithm. And the reminder bell for upcoming content. But yeah, we're rolling right along here. So I'm much happier. A lot of new faces in the chat.
Hi.
A lot of new faces. I wonder if it's because of our guest tonight, Ken.
Well, I don't think it's because of us by any stretch of the imagination.
Nobody wants to come here and see us. I don't want to come here and see us. My goodness.
No, this promises to be a fun and informative show.
Yes.
And I've been looking forward to this for a few days and doing a deep dive into our guest and get ready to crack a smile, have a laugh, and learn something from the other side.
Yes. And once again, it's important to note, guys, that Ken and I are just vessels. The people that come on here, it's an introduction. Now, last week we had the Kling brothers on, Brad Barry, and, they're kind of pillars in the community, to say the least. They've been around for quite some time. But my joy, and I don't know if it happens to anybody else, depending upon whatever platform that you're on. But for me, when I go on TikTok, at first, a lot of it was just random stuff that I would look at, mostly trying to figure out, travel places, things such as that. And then I would hit on one or two people in the paranormal field. And I don't know whether or not there's suddenly been a boom. And I'd like to ask our guest tonight, too, if there's suddenly been a boom with regards to the paranormal, or just the algorithm is now saying, send more to George, send more to George. I'm excited by it because there are some amazing people in this field who have yet to been given the recognition that they so deserve. And we take very much joy in having the opportunity to do that here. Would you agree, Ken?
I agree. Just keep doing it until the restraining orders come. If you're getting these notifications. But we love talking to new people because we are often meeting them for the first time, as you are. We have a little discussion before the show, get ourselves together. But the questions that we're going to ask are what we think that you'd want to know. And I love getting new voices on here. Love getting new voices, and they have not disappointed me, especially when they got that kind of personality and that kind of insight into paranormal world, which is why we're here. So wonderful. Just to tell our guest ahead of time, Brendan Monk is in chat tonight. He is with us from Australia, so there might be a lag of some type as our signal goes around the world to him. So bear with
Yeah,
me,
and you may notice, Ken, a couple times because there's new names in the chat, and they're part of a group called the Boo Crew, and I have a feeling our guest will explain that to you tonight, Ken, as you do the introduction.
Boo Crew, you say?
The Boo Crew. Actually, I think they're taking over our chat. Anyway, Ken, if you want to go ahead and introduce our guest.
Yes, I would, with great pleasure. Tharyn, known online as Tharyn Beyond the Veil, is a spiritual historian, educator, and psychic medium who has captivated a large audience on TikTok, excuse me, amassing over 250,000 followers, probably has grown since then. But through her platform, she delves into the mysteries of the spirit world, sharing insights and experiences that bridge the gap between the physical and the metaphysical. Her content not only explores paranormal phenomena, but also educates viewers on spiritual history and practices. That's interesting. So, without further ado, because they're lined up in chat for Hello Boo Crew, let's welcome in Darren.
Hello.
You brought into the chat room a bigger posse than Nick Groff. I'm just saying.
Hey, it would be my honor to meet him, but the Boo Crew is the best crew. It's the only crew. It's my personal community that I've been building for the last like 2-ish years on TikTok. And when you call them, they come. They are the cavalry. They show up.
Siren call to the Boo Crew.
Whoop whoop. Ghosts afoot, and they're like, we're on the way. They're ready to go.
Welcome to all of you. You are among friends tonight, and I hope you enjoy what we have for you tonight. And we're going to handle our business. So thank you for joining us. Welcome, and stick around. We're going to have some fun tonight.
All right. As I told you before we went on the air, I'm going to throw you over to Ken for the first section of the interview, so we don't step all over each other. And I'll just keep putting up all the Boo Poo Crows, the Boo Crew posts that are in the chat. So I'll be busy, obviously. But Ken, it's all yours, sir.
All righty. Okay. So let the Inquisition begin. All right. So what I want to start off with you, and anyone who is not aware of Tharyn, you are right now. So there is absolutely no excuse to follow her on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll have all of that up where you can find her. But I came to it saying, okay, I have to find something out about this person. Clicked on one TikTok and laughed out loud. So you know how TikTok is on, well, let me see another one, and let me see another one, and let me see another one. And suddenly I lost about an hour of my life there. And it was well spent. And we'll get into why. But Let me ask you this, Tharyn.
Mhm.
When you communicate with spirits on investigations, you know how life is. Sometimes personalities don't mesh,
Mhm.
they clash. And maybe sometimes for no rhyme or reason, just people just are turned off by a certain personality. It doesn't have to make sense. But if we retain personality on the other side, which I believe we do, we retain our character and personality and memories and all of that. There are four scenarios in my mind for personality conflicts. One is that you have somebody up there being very provocative and aggressive, and a spirit might go, "Who the hell is this asshole that is yelling at me and I didn't do anything?" And
Mhm.
then you
Mhm.
might have another personality who enjoys aggression and goes, "That's my type of guy right there," you know.
Mhm.
Um, and then you come in respectful, you know, we're here with the utmost respect. We mean you no harm. And then some personalities might say, "Quit buttering me up. Let's just get on with this."
Mhm.
And then you have others with that approach says, "Aw, aren't you nice? I'm going to hang around with you."
Mhm.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. But we need you to break that down for us in terms of personalities and who you come across and how, maybe most importantly, how do they put up with us?
Well, um, so when it comes to like haunted places, a lot of them have very well-known stories about like the famous ghost and this is what they do.
Yeah.
And we go there a lot of the time and we're very much like, all right, listen, if you don't tell me what I want to know, I'm going to yell in your face. And you get very like aggression works kind of idea. And then you get the ghosts that could actually talk to you in that space that aren't just the one you think it is, who are just like, why? And as I've traveled around to different places up and down the East Coast, I have noticed that if you take just a little bit of time and you just kind of let it like just kind of like let them do the talking first and just kind of gauge through, and as a psychic tapping in that aspect, I can get a good idea of like best approach per like, this is my experience as being here as the ghost. I had this guy who tried to kick me in the face. It was an awful time. Y'all are like this. Look, I brought you a cookie. Would you like a cookie for a moment and sit with me to talk? But
Let's get
it's also when you walk in, it's the energy you bring with you. So if you come in and you're very much hyped up and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna talk to these guys, they're gonna touch all our stuff. They get very like, But if you go in real chill and you're like, hey, I know you're all here. I know that you're hanging around. You're not required to talk, but if you would like to, you are welcome. I've got some stuff here. I can explain how to use it. It's just real casual. Like it's like, hey, what's your favorite color? What is something that you remember from life that you would like to talk about? And it makes them feel back to being more human instead of them feeling like they're about to get rocked most of the time. And personality wise, when it I've run into all kinds, all types. I've met ghosts that are very aggressive who are just like, I'll get you, like I'll end you, and I'm like, go for it. Like here we are, let's go. You want to dance? Let's dance. But it's never like, oh I love it. It's really just okay. Let's go for it. And then they'll usually be like, no, it's no fun if you're not scared about it. Other ones know their job. They know we're here to be scary. We're here to be ghosts. And we're gonna be ghosts. And some are just like, what? You gonna ask me how I died again? No. That's actually never a question that I ask when I go at all. I never ask about like death or like how'd you die or anything like that. We never get to that point. I don't
I'm
even
a
ask names most of the time.
I'm a big advocate of doing a little work before you go in. Some people don't like to know everything. Maybe as a psychic medium, you feel that way. I
Hmm.
don't want names and dates and everything. I like to know everything
Hmm.
because I'm a firm believer that if you go in to an iconic location, something that has been investigated for decades and decades, what am I going to ask that's different?
Hmm.
Am I going to ask, did you die here? Am I going to ask, did you kill this person? Am I going to ask the same things that 50,000 other people have asked? Like,
Hmm.
what is going to make me unique? And the important thing, a lot of things we don't get, because we can get names and dates and things like that, but
Hmm.
emotional content is something different. I want to know something about the person. I know where they worked and how many kids they had, and
Hmm.
but I want to know something about them because I think it's easier to make that connection, because humor, not being a clown, but
Hmm.
humor is one of those universal languages,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, no, there's a I understand where you're coming from. I do, like, as a psychic medium, if that's what I'm doing, like if that's straight where I'm going and I'm not doing it solely on the investigative standpoint, I'd rather be a little more cold so that I can match it up later. And
Mhm.
that's the way that I've always operated since I started being an investigator. Was I wrote everything down first, and then the evidence review would be how we validated whatever it was that I would receive or intuitively pick up on through the process.
Sure.
um but as an investigator, it kind of gives me, like, it gives me a good baseline if I have like a general understanding of what I should be expecting or like what other people experience. Then I kind of know where I want my boundaries to be and what I'm trying to understand better, and maybe getting more perspective on why's, how's, like perception of like where, how they see it, how they feel about it as it happens. Because a lot of spirits, like I would say predominantly the ones that I had the most vocal about it was in Gettysburg, where they were like, oh my God, why
Mm,
are you here again? And
mm,
I try to be really calm, and I really wanted them to feel like they didn't have to perform, that it was more just for the experience of being in this very well-known place and having the reverence for what happened in that place. But getting dates and stuff, getting names, like you can get that by accident. You can get a lot of stuff by accident. EVPs are not for sure's, but building rapport in conversation can really help to expand process of like, I don't like being called this by other people, or nobody knows this, but, and that's the stuff that I love. That's the stuff that I go for. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, going into a place like somewhere near me, Lizzie Borden House, let's say.
Mm,
When we went in, we weren't trying to relitigate a trial. I know she loved animals. Battling a cold here. I know she loved animals. She worked with the church, so we talked about that.
mhm,
Tell me about your love for animals. And that particular night, it just went off the chain. And listen, I'm not taking anybody to task. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you a child? I get that. You're trying to get information, but if you dig into it a little bit, try to set yourself aside. Be a little unique in your approach. You go
mhm,
into a prison. I know. What are you in here for? And I understand that, but understand that they had lives as well, as much as you can.
mhm,
So when you have someone like yourself that can bring that emotional content, I'm more apt to go find a seat next to you and just, even if it's unspoken, just kind of sit there. And it's like, yeah, all right, Tharyn, tell me what's going on here. Who who are the players? Who's interested in us and who wishes that we would just get the hell out of here as quickly.
and they'll be super vocal about that too. Be like, you, I don't like you. And you're like, hey, I'm just here, my guy. I can go if you like, and then you're out the door. I, also, I'm speaking of connections. Being able to perceive like the feeling of the situation and the thought processes. Now, I'm not saying that every ghost communicates like verbally through your ear. I'm not saying every ghost can be seen. It all depends on if they want to. But emotions can really build up in a space. A lot of hauntings are related to like traumas with emotions and experiences. So it's really helpful when you're like in a space and you're like, wow, what can I do to like really help them to feel more comfortable? Oh, music. What kind of music do you guys like? What kind of music can I play for you? Or having the ability to communicate in other languages, because just because we're sitting in New England doesn't mean somebody might not have spoken like French or German or many other kinds of languages. That was the big thing for going down to Florida, was we have to get, like, it wasn't a choice. It was, we have to get translations I can read, or Spanish, so that I can try to connect with everybody who might want to, or give them the space. And that inclusivity of, you know, we're not limiting it to that one guy we want to talk to, and it gives you a broader perspective and insight on a history that might have otherwise went away with time. You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right, so we're going to circle back a little bit here. So for those who are meeting you for the first time, everybody's got an origin story, and everybody comes to this field in different ways. Some people have experiences, some people are just curious, and some people like yourself, it seems to find them. You know,
That's how it seems, isn't it? Like, it just comes to me.
right? That's why me. So take us back.
Mm-hmm.
When you learned you could first communicate with spirits,
Mm-hmm.
what was that experience like for you? I assume it was something growing up, or maybe it just happened a half hour ago. I have no idea.
Half hour ago. That makes my content really weird, doesn't it? So when I get asked this question, there's this, like, I think I saw this in a movie once where they're like, well, we got to start back in the days when I was young. I would say there's a twofold to the starting point. What I knew was going on, and when I was cognizant of what was going on. I would say cognizantly understanding something weird was happening, I was about 5. Experiences before that, I have had reports from family members that I liked to talk to the voices that came through my baby monitor a lot. But what do I know? I had a gigabyte of memory. I don't really remember that part. I remember after 5, though, I grew up in a house that is very well known locally where I grew up, called the most haunted house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And it was an old hotel that my parents bought. And I did a whole series on TikTok about this. And essentially, they went to this house and it was just wrecked and abandoned. And they were like, you know what? This is perfect. This crown molding, these solid wood doors, the beauty, the history. Let's ignore all the dead stuff under the house. We're just going to make it better. And then they moved us all in. And from about the time I was 5, when I was cognizantly aware of it, to I lived in that house until I was about 25. It was constant. Just basically they lived there and we just had to be okay with that. And I grew up having wild experiences, intense experiences, things that I always left room that I was insane. Like, always. I was like, there's a good chance maybe I'm making this all up. But when other people would come in and be like, how do you know that happened? That happened when I was a kid. Or I had this experience that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, oh, you mean the guy that hangs out on the staircase then? And they're like, how do you know about that? Because I see him. He's right there. I see him like every day. I have to walk past him every morning when I go to school. And I understood that these people, like, these are people, but it took me time to understand that they were ghosts, because we didn't have that kind of media on TV at the time when I was growing up. Right. And then I started hearing about hauntings from like the History Channel, and I was like, is that what I'm dealing with? Is that what this is? And then paranormal media started. And I watched other teams go out. The first show I ever watched was Ghost Hunters, and I saw what they were doing. And I thought about calling them multiple times, because I was like, I'm actually terrified to live in my own home, because I'm seeing these ghosts. They tell me things, and I don't, when you say tell me things, they're not like, get out. No, they didn't really do that, but they would be like, oh, you know, in this day, on this time, this happened in town. There was this great fire that happened. There was all this historically relevant information that I had no basis to look for at all. And then the validation started coming in when I got older. So I'm talking like between like 15 to 18. Somebody wrote a book about our house, our whole town, but we were a chapter in it. He had all of the information that I had been telling people written down in books over years that I had been communicating. And goes to be like, hey, there was a party here this day. Did you miss it? I'm like, I don't know, man. I had kept records, journals, like maps, processes, because that's the kind of crazy I am. I have to qualify and quantify things. And then he's validating. He's like, yeah, this is accurate, this is accurate, this is accurate. Who told you that? I was like, the ghosts. And he was like, that's wild. And of course my family's sitting there like, how did you know that? Like I'm telling them stories of their own personal experiences per what the spirits told me they did. And my family was like, how did you know that? How did you know that? I'm like, I told you. We had our own team come in when I was 18, and they pretty much like validated everything that I said I felt, like the feelings, who I saw, what I experienced, the medium they brought in, saw all the same things that I had seen in different parts of the house. She was able to break it down into like, well, this ghost said they never leave this part of the house, and this ghost. And that moment of validation with the team coming in, the evidence that they got, the pictures and things, the audios and stuff, I was like, I felt like I was vindicated, because I had already been doing the psychic things, like talking to spirits, reading past lives, touching on past loved ones and communicating with them. But validating that when you're younger is so difficult because you don't know where to start. And given like where I grew up, there was so much going on at once all the time. My house was chaotic. So I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to look for. And then as an adult, I was finally able to really get into it. And I've had a very long process of just constantly trying to better understand, make myself more knowledgeable, experience, and also trust myself. I've been doing this for years. So
well, education knowledge takes away some of that fear that you might have, or that lack of understanding. I'm contractually obligated to tell you that people from Ghost Hunters, the show, do pop into our chat. So if they're looking for a haunted place out in Pennsylvania, contact us and do that. But being an old hotel, isn't it funny though? And I don't know how many you visited since then, but hotels are such a transient place.
Absolutely.
In and out, and you never know what the motivation is for the stay there. It's not necessarily just a vacation, because some of those stories don't have happy endings.
Yeah, my house was a hotel for 50 years. It was built in 1883, and it had, so here's this, I think the chat might actually really enjoy this aspect that I discovered in my research. So from 1883 up until 1930, it was run as a business. It was a hotel, boarding house, long distance phone lines, good liquor, right off the canal. So we have a canal that runs through our county, our town. So you could literally ride the boat from up north all the way down. We had a trolley that went from New York all the way to Philadelphia. And my house was boom, right in the middle of it all. So there are pictures of people gathered. We had a bar in our basement at once upon a time, a lot of rooms. Nice. It's not changed a bit. Like it looks exactly the same. And it was a center of town for a long time. We had two hotels. We have the other haunted hotel that's over yonder, and we have ours. And I noticed sometimes I'd only ever talk to a ghost once. Like it would be coming in and be like, hey, where's John? And I'm like, who? John? Where's John? I'm supposed to meet him at the tavern. I'm like, there's no John. And then never see them again. And then we also would have a ghost. He used to pop in. He sat in the basement, and he used to just sit there. And I was like, what are you doing here? How did you get here? Never seen him before. He was like, this is my bar. I always come here. Here to find out that same ghost was seen.
I'm asking the questions here, pal.
What are you doing in my house? What are you doing in my house? I want waffle fries. Like that's what it felt like sometimes. That same ghost who was like, this is my bar, he started popping up periodically every little bit. He would just act like he'd always been there. And then that same ghost, the description of him, how I saw him, how he spoke to me, was seen in several different homes around town to
Mhm.
the T. By the name I got was accurate. The outfit he was wearing, his demeanor, the way, like his facial hair, and everyone was like, "Wow, he came to your house." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. He said his name was this," and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's the ghost that likes to mess with my alarm clock." I'm like, "What?"
There you go.
It's a small town. We're in everybody's business there.
That's it. Every ghost knows each other in a small
Hmm.
town. Let's talk a little bit about the process because how this all happens for you. Do you find it's more a case of, I suppose it's whatever situation you're in. If you're on an investigation, it's one thing. If you're minding your own business, it's another. But who seeks out who from the spirit world? Do they come to you and occasionally do you call on them or what is that?
So I have this thing called office hours. So as a I do readings as a professional medium. I don't invite spirits into my space because I live that life. I need space.
Mm,
If I'm out actively working, they usually come to me. And more often than not, I found recently, I'm famous at least to ghosts. I'm the most recommended medium by ghosts for ghosts, apparently, because I'll walk into a place, never been there before, never set foot in the place, turn on my audio stuff, my S box, what have you, and then hear it's Tharyn. Tharyn's here. And I'm like, how? That happened in God, every place that I've been over the last like 2, 3 years. And I think that's great. Like my name gets around so often that they're like, "Oh God, it's Tharyn." Unless you're causing trouble, and then it's like, "Oh God, it's Tharyn." Like,
yeah, right.
but I also will go to places where they are, and look out for them. Or if I have to be aware, like if something feels off, I'll make sure that I'm at least aware of what's happening around me. But if I'm on my own, sometimes if I'm just working for myself, I use both at the same time. I'll be like, I'm feeling a little bit of this. Or I'll use my ability to read and see and be
Mm,
like, hey, can you confirm some details for me out loud so I can record it? And we've done it that way. So I can use both at the same time to get some external validation as well as work to be clearer and see better. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And spirits that you encounter, do they have a relative or a keen awareness of their situation? It's like, this is where I am. And the reason I ask you that, to cut to the chase, is you hear so much about spirits being
Right.
trapped,
Hmm.
traumatic death. They don't know where they are. They don't know they're dead. They're in
Hmm.
between worlds. I don't
Hmm.
know. And I'm always curious to ask this question. I think more often than not, spirits have free will where they
Hmm.
can come in visitation or called upon. I don't have a number or a percentage of spirits that might be trapped here, but can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I don't subscribe to that thinking personally. Um, Generally speaking, and this is partially a theory, but also with learned experience because I like to bank on both. I like to trust my knowledge as well as what it is that I gather. I find that the spirits that are the ones that are like, help me, I don't like who don't know that their awareness is there, I would say are more of that residual imprinted energy because
Okay.
those are the ones that you encounter like in your equipment when you're working. Sometimes you'll get the ones that are like, help me, I need help. Or they sound afraid, or they get very repetitive with whatever it is that they're saying of like, I died here, I died here, I died here. That is more of that traumatic imprint. And that's not as much of a cognizant energy as it is a something that's just kind of like repetitively existing.
Sure.
Most cognizant spirits that I speak to, so let's talk in the way of the conversations with ghosts sort of way. Most are very aware of their situation. I have had multiple ghosts be like, yeah, I know I'm dead, but I still look good, right? They have no qualms about the situation. They're very much just, I enjoy watching people. Some of the biggest reasons I've gotten of I'm not stuck. I can move around. I can go where I want. But they just don't. Where do they have to go to the grocery store? No. They're just like, I live in this house and I just hang out in this house. They like watching people. They're not there. It's not a, I'm not ready to go. I don't want to go. I'm afraid. It's not that. It's just like, oh, well, this is interesting. You want to hear some of the stuff that I've seen? Absolutely. I want to hear some of the stuff you've seen.
Still a kid.
They literally, like, they're just existing. And because it's so quiet from their perspective, because it's not like people are walking in and go, oh, hey, Joe. And he's just like, hello. That's not a common occurrence. They just get to watch and exist and maybe get some peace in that regard. Maybe they didn't get that in life, so they get to have a house to themselves sometimes.
There you
They're,
go.
they're not stuck. At least if they feel they want to move, they can communicate that. They can be like, hey, I'm done. Like, can you get me the hell out of here? Like, do whatever you got to do. But most of the time, I've asked, like, hey, are you good? Do you want to go anywhere? No, I'm good. Thanks. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Change your mind.
Right.
Let me know before I leave. And then I'm off to the next room.
All good. And the other thing is that I don't know where you come down on this. The way I feel about spirit rescue,
Mhm.
crossing over spirits and things like that. I'm on the
Mhm.
fence because I am not quite sure who the hell we or some people think that you can give somebody the boot or cross them
Mhm.
over unwillingly, or someone calls you into their residence and says, I want them gone.
Mhm.
Not sure what you're supposed to do with that information.
So there are two words that I use to describe what I do now as a medium communicating with spirits of varying varieties. I'm a mediator and a translator.
There you go.
So what you can't understand because the perception is not there for you to communicate, I am trying to help mediator would be more of the, hey, so there's this thing in my house. Can you talk to it and figure out why it's here?
Mhm.
First is to try to balance it out of like, hey, what are we doing here? Like, can we come to like a copacetic station with each other? But some people just don't want that energy in their space. So then it has to be more of a conversation with the spirit itself. It's like, listen, could I find a better place for you to go? Could I help you maybe go to a place that you love, a place you've always wanted to go, somewhere that would help you feel more at ease, where you don't have to feel the stress of the situation?
Yeah.
I don't personally think that it is right, proper, or correct to just walk into any old place that you go to. And I know a lot of people do it at haunted places with like, I feel I need to move the spirits on. No, because we went there just yesterday and they're still there. Displacing them, if they don't want to go, they can resist it. Consent is key in that. They need to consent to going in the direction that you're trying to get them to go. So if you're like, go to the light, and then they're like, all right, and then they just kind of get popped out, and then they pop back in at some point because they've nowhere else to go. There's a process to it to do it properly, but really it's the consent that they're willing to go. And if they're not harming anybody, if they're just kind of in their space, they're doing their thing, you should just let them. Half the time they're just going to exist and just hang out and be like, hey, when you have people here trying to throw cat toys at me, I'm going to go hang out in the staircase that nobody can access.
Right.
So, you know what I
You're
mean?
essentially trying to just, at that point, you're trying to broker a deal. Like,
Mhm.
look, these people are afraid. They're not bad people. They don't hate you, but you're scaring the crap out of them or their kids or something like that. So,
Mhm.
we either need to coexist here or have some kind of affirmation or boundaries put up here. So I would imagine you do the
Mhm.
simplest things first. It's like working on a car. You don't take a transmission out. You do the simplest things that you can get the best possible outcomes with.
Right. But most of the things that I run into in consults with people is lack of understanding or knowledge on the situation. You hear there's a ghost in my house and you're like, "Oh no, there's a ghost in my house." But that doesn't necessarily mean because there's from what I see per my TikTok comments, things like that. There's this idea that is signing you up for negative energy, that is signing you up for demonic activity, that is signing you up for the worst possible thing if a ghost is in your space.
Yeah.
And I can, with what I know, understand what I've learned, what I've, communicate from them specifically. It's really just like, hey, let me explain a little bit more how this kind of actually works. And I want you to I want you as the client to communicate to me what it is about it that makes you afraid. Let me explain what it is that's actually happening to them so we can see if there's maybe a miscommunication going on. Knowledge is power. You made that comment earlier. Knowledge is power. Becoming a paranormal investigator was me taking the power of not being afraid. Being a psychic medium that works professionally is me helping others feel that power that they need to feel more confident with what's around them without living in fear.
Right. There you go. There you go. And I got one more for you. I have about 50 more, but I'm going to bring
You have to just bring me on again.
I'm gonna bring George in here, or they'll cancel the show. As a spirit medium and an investigator, I am sure that you run into a lot of people who self-diagnose themselves because they watch a lot of shows on YouTube. They've watched a lot of shows on networks and cable over the last 25 years. So they will say, I think I have a demon in the house, or I think I have this, or I think I have that. How do you walk people through that who are dead set that I've watched the shows, I know what happens, I know what's going on, and you, as someone they've requested to come in, hasn't even had a chance to assess it for yourself yet. So, I mean, how do you navigate that?
So one of my taglines that I have on merch is obviously it's demons, because that's the first place everybody always goes. And here's, as a psychic medium, one of the things that I need to be versed in and understand is frequency, energy, where it sits. When we talk about guides versus ghosts versus like when we're talking to angels and things like that, those are all different things. And they're going to register in a very specific way. And generally speaking, you should be able to tell, like, a ghost is going to feel more solid, more like a person because it's on our plane, versus a guy is going to feel a little more flighty. If a demon's in your house and you come in, you're like, say we're doing this right now, right? You're like, there is a demon in my house. I don't know what, I've seen the shit. Do not tell me otherwise. I'm going to sit and I'm going to be like, all right. Okay, so the energy is kind of russet potatoey, not really feeling demon. But if we're insistent that it's a demon, like, oh no, you have to keep, like, I promise you, the feeling is really bad. I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions like a human being. It's not going to be me just trying to convince you by seeing, I can see that it's not a demon because I can, but I'm also going to be like, all right, let's talk logistics. What's been going on recently that's making you feel that negative energy? What has really transpired that makes you feel it's demonic specifically? What kind of ways has it made its presence known in a demonic way? Because there's key things that I'm going to be looking for, not only for this part, but also the investigative part, because I was trained to do that. We know we demons. We've been told about demons all the time, and demon hauntings truly, from my, like, I've been active in the field for 16-ish years at this point. I've only, I think, maybe possibly one time, if that, ran into an actual, like, energy of that. And really, like, when I'm talking to people, it's, first of all, it's empathy. Like, I'm so sorry you're feeling this way. I'm so sorry. This is the experience you're having. Let me see what we've got going on here, and facilitate communication and walk them through the process of how that communication is going. What I want to do is, I don't want to just be like, well, you're wrong. That's not what you need to do. I don't need to be like, I know for sure you're wrong. It's more of, let's get to the root of why this feeling is coming up, so that we can make sure that this isn't like a spirit that's like eating up your energy and making it feel bigger,
right,
than it actually is. I do negative entity removals 9 times out of 10. It's they're a lot of, like, it's like emotional based, like things coming in and just making you personally feel uncomfortable, not spatially, not like, oh no, my pen hit me in the eye. It's more internally. So it's a different kind of animal than just, like I used a Ouija board and a demon showed up, and I'm like, okay, let's walk through the steps here. I also will need more context in that regard, but my first goal is to make you feel as most comfortable as possible and confident that you have somebody that actually can help you, and then walking you through the whys and the why nots, and asking questions and getting perspective. Like, I'm not afraid to ask knowledge questions in a consult. Like, please explain to me something that has nothing to do with spirituality in this situation, because I want to see if there's some kind of outward connection here.
Mhm.
Because first and foremost, it's not just about what I can read for you. It's also about me just helping to be a voice for you to make you feel more grounded so you
Right.
can move forward more groundedly.
Right. And a lot of times, I'm going to bring George in here, and a lot of times that's where the personal questions start, where you have to get into relationship dynamics, family dynamics, because all of
Mhm.
those may play into the negativity.
Mhm.
So we've got to
And
delineate between
yeah,
what's supernatural and what's natural, right? Yeah.
any big emotional upheavals happen within the last month, 2 months, 6 months, even anything that you need to work through, anything that's been really bugging you recently that you can't get out of your head. Like, have we communicated to somebody of a different capacity of professionality, someone in the like the therapeutic way, about how we're feeling? Could we be needing to release some things? There's so many different ways to evaluate that situation without it just being like, "Oh, that's not
Yeah.
a demon." It
Abs-
feels like it, though. That's the thing. It feels like it to the person, so you have to be mindful about that.
Absolutely. Everybody's a snowflake. Everybody's a little bit different. All right, George, I'm going to get out of here. Tag, you're it.
All right, Ken. Thank you very much. You'll be riding with me to the top of the hour where we go to break. But I've been monitoring chat, as I've said, and they really don't like you.
That makes
People,
sense.
people in chat just really, I mean, all they've been saying is this is horrible. Oh my God, what a fan base! And
I'm
I
like
am
durian. I'm an acquired taste, you know.
well. It's a pretty good acquired taste, and I'll get into that in the social media aspect of this on the other side of the break. But I want to continue kind of on this topic here as a
Mhm,
spokesperson, Theron, in a sense, for these spirits. Let's talk
mhm,
about ghost attitude,
mhm,
because people go in to do investigations, and I'm not pointing out a certain sect because it doesn't matter where they are on that tier.
mhm.
You're a foot soldier, you're a foot soldier. You're out there, you're doing what you're doing. But there seems to be this expectation that the spirit is going to be garrulous, willing, conversational.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's not the case in most living people. So, what's your
Sure.
take on that when it comes to just the quiet ones, if you will? People who, again, in society 200 years ago, 150 years ago, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, were not conversationalists to begin with.
You know, back then they used to just call them shut-ins,
Bingo.
and now they call us introverts. um, it doesn't mean that they're not there. I've run into situations where I'm like, there is somebody here, but they're not really interested in talking. Like, they're just kind of monitoring the situation, and that's just where they're the happiest. Also, silence at times can be the determining of, oh, well, there are no ghosts here because it's too quiet. But you ask them to do 15 things at the same time, but explain none of it. As boxes are loud, touch lights require energy. You got to explain how these things work. You got to walk them through the process. And then if after that they're like, oh, okay, well, that's not, I had ghosts think that my REM was going to make them blow up. I had to explain to them that that wasn't the case because it made so much noise. They were like, oh, what is it doing? And I was like, that's
It's
what
a
it's supposed to
bomb.
do. You're talking about, and sometimes, depending, you're talking about people that have been off of this plane of existence, has not seen the flow of time since, I don't know, the late 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s. Electricity might not even be in a thing when some people have been alive in these haunted places. And you're just like, here, touch this electric thing that you don't understand. And they're like, ah,
Right.
why? So instead of trying, they're just like, I'm out. I'm Homer in the hedge. I'm just in the other room.
It figures then in the same sense that there are the quiet ones. Have you come across, or in theory, do you believe that, again, in some of these negative hauntings, are And we're talking about going back to when Christianity was like at a fever pitch. Do
Hmm.
some of these spirits feel because they are not in heaven that they must be demons? They must be damned. And so they take on that second role, in a sense, of the places that they're haunting. Has that been an encounter for you, or do you believe in that theory?
I believe that with the with the understanding that Christianity as a whole has been very, very prominent in society for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, people build their whole lives around church, around their devotion to Christ. People were expected to be in church every Sunday, regardless. Didn't matter if you were sick or not, better be, or you're a witch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I've run into more often that spirits that live their life in devotion really feel specifically concerned as to like why they are where they are, like what did they do. And I've communicated, actually, funny enough, I communicated with a pastor specifically. And I was like, do you not want to speak on your life because you're afraid you did something wrong? And he's like, leave me alone. I was like, are you afraid that you messed up somewhere because you're not where you thought you were supposed to be? And he basically was like, I was a good man, like just reiterating of who he was and what he did in his
Wow.
life. And I was like, that doesn't really change the fact that like you're here. Part of you is somewhere, but this is just part of where you are now. I can like you gotta like whatever's keeping you here, you gotta release. And he goes, witchcraft. And I was like, I can't help you if you're just gonna yell witchcraft at me over and over again. But also think about what we're putting out there when we go to places. We're like, the demons are everywhere. Eventually they're just kind of gonna take it and be like, yeah, you know what? All right, I'm the demon.
Thank you.
Ha. They take it and they will like, and also it's also just I'm going to perpetuate the idea of what it is you think I am, because that's what gets that's what pays the bills, even though we're not paying them. But also we can create that energy ourselves. We put so much energy into thoughts and feelings. Like we make ghosts exist because we talk about them so much, even though that specific spirit may have never existed in the first place. Somebody will come in and take that space.
Let's discuss energy for a second, because you just I had an epiphany as you were speaking of that. When you have multiple investigators going to a location, now we have talked at nauseum on this show
Hmm.
with other investigators, both people from TV and, of course, out there in the field,
Hmm.
about manifesting dark entities based upon the questions, based
Hmm.
upon the investigative energy that's going on in a place, and the
Hmm.
expectation of those investigators. Is it possible, Tharyn, that in these circumstances, at these haunted locations, that the energies that are present there, that were docile, that were benign for the longest time, and then they're bombarded with negative energy by the investigators, in a
Hmm.
sense, charged or energized them with that negativity, thus kind of morphing their attitude?
Hmm. Absolutely, 100%. When you're walking in, and this kind of goes to like something that I try to talk to people about in general. When I feel like if you're going to go to a haunted place, you got to make sure that you're grounded and you're centered and you're in a good sounded mind. You go in afraid, you go in really like, oh, there's negativity here. You're calling to it.
Yes.
You're begging for it. You're consenting to it when you're doing that kind of stuff. And when people get confused and they're like, something followed me home, you called to that negativity to come. You were like, there's a demon that sits in this corner and does this, but there never was in the first place. But we perpetuated this idea that anything that exists beyond the binary of heaven or hell or earth is demonic. So now we've put so much energy into it. We put so much thought in it. For some people, it's like their lifelong mission to prove it, that the
Yeah.
demons are everywhere. And we just keep recycling it back over and over and over and over again. And I've met many ghosts who were like, yeah, I'm the demon. I was like, that's cool, my guy.
Yeah.
How's that going for you? He's like, I hate it. I'm like, what are you going to do? How about you just don't do it? Yeah, well, they expect it now. It's all performative sometimes for them as well. There's a lot of places I've been to where they do what they're asked. You want to be scared? You want to feel like you're gonna pee yourself? Run out of here screaming? You want to feel like you're encapsulated in spiritual energy to a degree that you just can't even handle it? Oh, we're gonna do it because that's what you asked for. And then we're surprised. And then we're surprised.
Yeah, it's kind of problematic, and maybe, again, that's where my co-host and his team, I give so many accolades to, because he goes in there in a very courteous, professional type of way, discussing things with them, because you can imagine if the energy of the investigators does affect the energy of the spirits, it's only self-preservation that these spirits won't communicate or will just simply leave the room, vacate the room to avoid this confrontation. Or, as a fact of what you've talked about before, is them coming and hanging with you going, what the hell's this? Kind of insulted.
I've seen both sides of this in real time in Penhurst specifically.
Yeah.
I'm over there I'm teaching somebody who's never been on a paranormal investigation before, trying to teach them the right ways to connect, how to be calm about it. Right down the hallway from us is somebody being like, oh, you want to fight me? You want to fight me? And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And then all of the equipment was like, what's up with that guy? I'm like, I don't know, man. You all right? It's like, he's just yelling. Yeah, he's just yelling. And then they all came into our corner. And they were just like, we're going to sit with you guys. You still got cookies? Like, they were so done with it. And like watching, also, like, I'm the kind of person personally, like if I'm out in a public space with somebody, we're investigating together, and you do something like aggressively, or you kind of like take it too far, I'm going to be like, hey, listen, go outside, take a few minutes to breathe. You're going to start stirring it up the wrong way. We do not want that. Like, calm down. We're here. We take it here. It's not that serious. These are dead people. Like,
it's a frustrating field because it's such a wonderful field to make contact. It's such an amazing experience to find that connection. And when you learn about and you hear about some of the actions of others that are here in this field, I can empathize with the ghosts more than I can the living. I really can. Ken, if you want to come back on screen for a second, it's time for us at the top of the hour to go to break. And when we come back on the other side, I definitely want to talk about your social media because it's exploding and I'm jealous.
I will give you all the secrets you want.
And I won't keep you long because Ken has some wonderful evidence that you've provided for him.
Yes, I'm so excited about that, actually. Goodness gracious.
You're going to want to hang in for that, folks.
Yep. So stay with us, guys. We'll be back right after the break. You're watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Now showing on Dead Air Full Spectrum YouTube channel.
New episodes of Extremely Strange coming soon.
every alternate Thursday on our channel.
Every Thursday. Opposite. Well, that was weird.
In cemeteries across the world, some headstones hold more than just names and dates. They preserve cherished family recipes, etched in stone as a lasting tribute. These recipes are more than instructions for a dish. They are connections to loved ones, memories of shared meals, and a way to keep traditions alive. In this series, we'll be honoring these unique culinary legacies by bringing these recipes to life. With respect and gratitude, we'll cook the dishes exactly as they were meant to be enjoyed.
New episodes of Last Bite coming soon.
And now, back to the broadcast.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Boo Crew. Just wanted to remind our Patreon members tomorrow night's town hall, and I'll give you a little preview topic that we'll be discussing. Science has been going through the proofs, if you will, about multi-dimensions. My question to you is there a different God in each dimension, or is there one God that is over all the dimensions? So talk amongst yourselves. We'll bring that up again tomorrow night. But welcome back to the show, guys. Again, Patreon membership, $3 is all it is, and you can get all kinds of content on there, including our town hall. A lot of great stuff on there, Ken. We got to add some more, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome. We love to interact. Our Monday town halls, for those who don't know, is our Patreons come on screen with us face to face, and we have discussions about anything and everything. It could be from baking a cake to the metaphysical to UFOs, or however direction that you want to go. So we love it, and we also have some bloopers on there, and investigation footage, and evidence footage, and tutorials using equipment, things like that. So we try to keep you entertained and engaged. So
love to have you join us.
Being here tonight, and listen, there's no better time. Subscribe to Dead Air. You take a look at what we offer. If it's for you, come on aboard.
And even here on the YouTube channel, guys, you can go back to each and every one of our interviews, our very special guests over the years, and including tonight's. I know somebody came in about 20 minutes late. They were upset about it. You can certainly catch us on our YouTube channel and the full interview with Tharyn that we are doing tonight. And let's bring her back on the screen with us right now as we continue our interview. And I just want to, with all affection, Tharyn, I want to say to you very, very quickly, I hate you. Uh,
That's fair.
250,000.
Good night, folks.
You're about to reach 250,000 subscribers on your TikTok page.
Mm-hmm.
Over
Yeah.
2 million likes on your TikTok page.
And I just hit 20,000 followers on Instagram. So
My God. What are we doing wrong, Ken? We're doing something wrong. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe we're just we're old.
I don't think we're doing anything wrong. We're not doing it in the right place. Does that make sense?
But let's talk about that very, very quickly, and then I want to get to the evidence that you provided for Ken tonight. But how did that begin? The social media aspect of this is so critically important for getting a message out nowadays. Unfortunately, too many of the wrong messages, and you and I know what I'm talking about, is out there. But there are certain nuggets of gold, and you're one of them. But how did it all come about to start with?
well, back in 2020.
Back in the day.
back in COVID time. I actually used to be a salesperson of mattresses. I could tell you anything you needed to know about a bed. What kind of foam is in that? I had that on lock. I knew how to do it. But COVID hit, and I wound up losing my job. But at that point, I'd already started making really silly TikToks about work and the people that I encountered at my job. And then one day, just out of the blue, I was cleaning out my office and I found a bunch of photographs from when we had a television show do a filming at our house. So I shared the video, made a video about it. It was like, yeah, like I was on a show. This is the show I was on. And it went viral. And I was like, oh, okay. I gotta start answering questions. So basically, like every day I would make videos answering questions about like the experience, what kind of stuff happened when you lived there. And then it started with storytelling where I was like, let me tell you about the time that a shadow came over into my room and tried to put his hands on me. And from there it was, next step would be, having been an investigator, to like, let's do that together. Let's do it on live. Let's share the experience. Let me explain how this works. Let me talk about it. And it just grew. And periodically I've gone viral for many of varying things. Being funny is one of them. I'm very funny with my very expressive sheet that I wear sometimes. Telling stories, history. People really enjoy my content. I get great feedback from people, and I would say the biggest piece of feedback I get is that I come off very grounded and very knowledgeable and genuine. And from there, I've just been able to build and just try to put the good thoughts and feelings out there and call out to the right people of like, hey, let's come together and hang out and go talk to some ghosts, I guess. Like it's all very casual because I've been doing it for 5 years at this point, but it's really everybody who's joined along the way that's been the reason why it exists in the first place. So
you got to find yourself a little bit amused by the field and how everybody seems so stoic and serious.
There's so many opinions.
Yeah, I mean, just on the show here tonight, we try to enjoy ourselves and have fun. We do the same thing during investigations because it does lend itself to, if you don't add that sense of humor, if you don't add that creativeness to what it is that you're doing, it's downright dark in your mindset. Not even what's going on in the spirits, not even the building, even though maybe, again, no power going on and you're hearing noises, which could be animals scurrying. You have no idea what's happening, but where your mind goes in it is what makes it terrible. So it's an important part to have that sense of humor, right?
It's not that serious. Like truly, it's not as serious as a lot of people make it out to be. And I'm going to say this in a very respectful way, as that it's not that serious. this is something that we as a community have come together because we want to understand. We want to know, or as I want to believe, as they used to say back in the day, on one of the most popular shows in the 90s. But we take it so we get very protective. We get very aggressive. We get very off the point. And part of it is the fun of the camaraderie of working together, of sharing with each other, of building communities together of like, hey, I have this EVP. Like, let's do a review together about it. Like, what are your thoughts? And we've lost a lot of that since since probably I would say for a bit since I've been in the field recently. Like, it's been hard to just find people who aren't immediately critical of you because of a random made up reason. Uh, it doesn't seem to make a difference as to like where you lie specifically in like this is how I do things, but it's everybody wants to be that guy that's on the show. Everybody wants to find the fame in it. But all
Yes.
in all, really what it is like we're all going out trying to, for our own reasons, quantify, calculate, and understand why ghosts exist and why they want to exist or how they exist. And I think a lot of the time we lose a lot of sight in that. We need to have openness and be more a community. And it's not that serious. We're talking to ghosts in the dark with flashlights and cat toys. It's not that serious.
It's a shame though at the same time that when we talk about the competitiveness that goes on in this field, and it's like the communication is so critically important, especially people who are in a particular township, and you could have
Mhm,
5 or 6 teams, but they hobble together and they hold
mhm,
on to and they hoard what it is that they're getting. It's like this is where you're missing the point of
mhm,
what we are doing. We're trying to put a story together, and you may have a piece of the puzzle, but not the
mhm.
whole picture. And getting everybody involved is so critically important. And yet, it's human nature, which is strange because they absolutely, not every investigator, but a lot of them just seem to remove that out of the equation when they're speaking to spirits. That
Yeah,
people,
there's an ethical issue that I see a lot. I've run into it in my as a professional with a platform. I run into this a lot where people just there's a many a minutia reason of why what how I'm doing things is the wrong way to do it, which is opinion, and I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because it works. If I just go in and do it the way that I do it, everything just kind of like it goes the way it's supposed to. I know what I'm doing. I got it. Another thing that I find very like overall very bad, generally speaking, is we don't we can't take constructive criticism anymore as a community.
no.
Part of our process was that we were supposed to be constructively criticizing each other and, well, did you think about this? Did you check for this? Can you give me some specs on what the recorder is? This, that, the other thing. Now it's like, well, I'm not going to entertain a hater. That's not what it is at all. It's truly just, hey, like perception wise, did you check that? Because that's what that sounds like. What do you know? I know because I'm asking. But
Yeah.
we've lost personal accountability for ourselves. It's more of a fame game than anything. And once you have it in your mind, like I'm going to be the next one with a great TV show, you kind of lose the sense of what the point was in the first place. It's a passion. It's a passion to know. It's a search for knowledge. And if we can't help each other to grow, to even not even just in the sense of like keeping each other accountable, that's one big thing, but we get so much pushback because the loudest at times can be the ones that are like, look at this orb that I got when it's a piece of dust, like it's a piece of dust or it's a hair, because they're
Yeah.
not willing to take the criticism of like, hey, did you think about this? And then we all kind of look a little silly, don't we?
Well, it's an on-the-job learning experience, and that's the important part is learn.
Mhm.
Don't just stay stagnant and stand your ground about things that more seasoned investigators could point out to you right away that it's not something that is supernatural, and accept it and learn to be a better investigator with what you do, but it just doesn't seem to be something that a portion of this field will accept. The Boo Crew in chat are blowing up a certain phrase. What is sheet ghost?
She so it was actually my random idea one day that I was like, what if I did some funny videos on the perception from the other side of the fence? Like how the ghosts feel, use like trend sounds or whatever, and just put on a sheet and be a ghost. And that became a really big staple part of my channel for a really long time. I had two different ghost characters that acted completely different, wore the same sheet, completely different. There was Edgar the ghost and Dave the ghost, and it was just their misadventures of living in a house and being like, I scared all the people out because I'm so scary. And then the older ghost is like, you know that they're just gonna come back, right? Why would you do this to me? Like it was just a whole thing. It was a whole lore on my channel.
It's a great presentation and representation of what they are actually going through. And instead of just telling it as a story, you're giving that perspective. I think it's really brilliant the way that it's done, even though it's done tongue in cheek. It's supposed to, lighten up a little bit, people, about because the ghosts they're certainly having a different aspect of what it is that you're doing, and they're ridiculing you half the time because it's ridiculous.
I did a whole video. I used to do the what's actually happening. So I would have like me and being like, oh, I feel something cold touching my skin. And then I was wearing a sheet with a fan. Just moving it down. I don't know why that was the thing that I just decided it's like mask acting, but it was so much fun to just be a sheet and just
I know. Now we've got some evidence that we definitely have to get to, and if once we're through with that, we have time. I've got a few more questions, as Ken said. Also, he's got quite a few also. But Ken, if you want to jump back on screen, sorry about stepping on you, clicking on the chats there. By the way, my friend, but brilliant timing. When I said sheet ghost and Ken went bam, I'm like, that's what's scary, because Ken and I, unfortunately, we'll think in the same terms. That's why we take turns on screen, because we'll be asking the same questions. But Ken, you want to go ahead and get those?
Sure.
Those clips. I will stay on screen just simply for the reaction. I have not heard or seen any of this, so
I'm so excited.
First, before we get there, and a little thing we like to call show and tell here on the show, where we present some evidence clips, and you all love that, and Tharyn will take us through it. Just let me say, Tharyn, in case we get away quick tonight, you are the absolute perfect guest for this show and what we try to do here. So
yes. I'm so glad you found me. I'm so glad we got to connect. I was so excited. I was like, oh, yes. It's been a long road of trying to be understood and standing where I've stood, and to find like-minded people who truly were like-minded and want to knowledge, who just want to understand with me. We're going to do it together like a family for once.
Well,
but you came to our show instead.
Yeah, and this is a preemptive strike there, and we're probably going to almost immediately after the show invite you back.
Absolutely. Down for it. Whatever you need. I'm here.
Because, and I do want to kind of keep this in the back pocket, Ken, so we have enough time at the end of our interview to talk about a show that Tharyn is getting involved with, and we want to certainly make the announcements about that. But Ken, it's yours, so go ahead.
Yeah, we own the channel. We can stay on as long as we want to. Okay, so the first clip is about a half a minute long, and I titled it "You Should Know."
Mm-hmm.
So you want to set that up for everybody?
So this clip is from Old Jail St. Augustine, and we were a large group of people that were sitting in the upstairs cell block doing what is called a Phasma box. A Phasma box session. A Phasma box is, for those who might not be aware, is an app that's actually on the computer. The computer that we use is not attached to the internet. It's not a fancy computer. It's literally like the oldest, most simple Dell you could possibly get. And we did basically, it communicates more in an out loud sort of way. And this clip was one of the first parts of the session when we started.
Okay, so let's let her rip and tell us what you think.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourselves? Should know. Why should I know? Should I know because of the history? Probably.
Yes, they've told us a lot about the history of this place.
But we don't know specifics. We want to know specifics, like
Yes.
who we're talking to.
Angels.
I'm going to go back off screen, Ken, because Ken knows about my history with the St. Augustine Old Jail. And Ken, was it last year or the year before that you came and went to that place?
Year before. We went last year, but didn't stop at the old jail. But we're planning something where we might return to St. Augustine. We loved it. We loved it.
And
I will come if you do that.
Oh, well, it's 30 minutes from my house, for crying out loud. I've been there multiple times. But there is a clip using an echo box, and it's the same voice. So I'm going to go find that, and I'll bring it back, and we'll play it in comparison with that one, okay?
Oh, I love this. Yes.
Okay. I'll be back.
Okay, cool. All right. Next one, moving on. I labeled it We Are Sick.
That was also at Old Jail St. Augustine. We had finished our upstairs romp. They kicked us out. They literally said, "Get out. You are messing up our whole flow. Get out of this room." So we went down to the solitary confinement, the sick bay, the women's section. And this clip was particularly just very interesting because it was the way it's spoken is very just like almost humorously, which I think people will understand when they hear it.
Okay, this is a short one, so I could play it twice also.
Who's in here?
We're sick. One more time.
Who's in here?
It's the we're sick for me. That's what
Right?
sent me to the moon.
Who is this? We're sick. Right?
That's how I learned ghosts could cough.
Right.
That right there.
You got that theatrical cough.
Love that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All
They're
right. The next
performers
one-
there.
The next one's a scream.
This is a good one. This is also Old Jail St. Augustine.
Okay.
We got so much evidence from there. One of some of the best sound bits I've ever gotten on an investigation. And they were really, so you're going to hear a sound and then you're going to just kind of hear a bunch of people start talking at the same time. And let's just say we were very disappointing because we did not react in the way that they had expected us to.
Yeah. Now, let me just ask you this. When it came through, did you hear it in real time? Or were
Yes,
you
I heard it.
kinda-
We heard it in real time. We reacted in real time to it as it was happening. It was glorious.
All right, here we go. It's about a half a minute long. Check it out.
I thought I heard him say before the laugh rotate.
Do you enjoy frightening people? That was good. That was a good scream. That was really impressive. I think we're confusing the shit out of them right now.
You should be afraid. Like, do you want it?
We're like, nice.
Like, do you want it? No.
Yeah, they
Just
want
like,
I love the reaction. The scream happens. Oh my God.
It was like I do peer reviews with any audio that I get, so I'll play it for a group and we'll kind of go based off consensus. And for that, it was and then it was good scream. Was it? And then we all were like, good scream. And then you hear it. They didn't run out.
Thank you. Thank you.
So happy to help. So happy to subvert your expectations of what was going to happen on this day.
That's interesting. It's hysterical at the same time, but like, I don't know, screams are just kind of, I kind of like your reaction to it, you know?
That's a good scream. It was a good
Right?
scream.
Short clip. This has got to be at the old jail too. This is cell door creaking.
It was so crisp and so clear, and it came from the same machine, which is not supposed to be able to make audible noises. It's only supposed to do words. So,
Right. So kind of like a weird thing, a residual sound.
we got a lot of that.
Now, what are you using? Are you using an Echo Box here?
It's
or-
called Phasmabox. It's a application. It was recommended to me by a friend of mine who's been in the field for about 20 or so years at this point.
Okay.
It's something that she uses. She was like, try it, see how it works. And I'm very specific about apps. But I've used this one, and the consistency of purposeful response has been very, very good. So it's one of my staple pieces.
So you're not tapping into, you're eliminating white noise and scanning and all the rest of it.
Yep. No, none of that.
Oh God.
I know. Did I trigger you? I'm so sorry. Could talk about how hard Hestus is to get into when you're like, trying to get it.
So this is interesting. A residual sound in a jail that came over the Phasma box.
That isn't supposed to make noises.
No, that's
no
intriguing.
music or noises, just words. That's what it's supposed to do. As far as I've been told, somebody might correct me and be like, no, actually, but from what for what other people have experienced with it to what I understand about it, it's not supposed to play music and it's not supposed to make noises. It's only supposed to speak words because that is all it's equipped for. So
it's a short clip, but I think it's pronounced enough that you folks will be able to hear it. Here we go.
Yes.
That was great. Did you hear that?
Right at the beginning.
Yes.
It's weird.
I was over the moon, and you hear we heard it in real time, and you hear me react to it because I was not. It was so quiet, and then creak, and I was like, oh, and I wasn't sure if it was audibly happened around us or not. That's what my excitement was about it.
Okay. Castillo on the side. This is the Castillo de San Marcos.
The Castillo de San Marcos. So this is actually the south wall. So I was tasked by one of the ghost tour people. They were like, hey, we've been investigating the Castillo, which I think most people are aware, but just in case, you can't investigate inside of it anymore, but nobody really stops you to walk around outside of it. They asked me if I would be willing to ask about the executioner's wall that doesn't exist. And I was like, I mean, I can ask. And I asked very purposefully, can you tell me about it? And they gave me a direct answer to it, which actually got sent out to some people that I met while I was down there who were like, thank you. We've been hoping to get this for a very long time. This is a very historically relevant thing, and I was very excited about it.
Excellent. All right, let's listen to this clip.
Where is the executioner's wall? Do you know where that is?
Okay. Different device?
That was an S-Box. PSB11.
Okay. Now, before we lose track of this, I want to play the first clip again and then George will play his for a comparison.
Okay.
So we'll just play the beginning and get to 12.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Should know.
Should know. Why should I know? Should I?
Okay.
All right. Now you heard that voice.
Mm-hmm.
This is
that you should know.
18. Here we go.
How many are here with you? Say how many. Give me a number. How many are here with you? Repeat the number.
Repeat it again.
12 men.
There you go.
Same guy, right?
I have not been that excited about an EVP, and I don't even know how long. That's a big dude. That sounds so similar.
Yeah.
That voice came through a lot. I don't know how much that came through for you guys, but I remember hearing that specific voice multiple times, just coming through and just putting little anecdotes of conversation in and being like, yeah, this is wild.
You got that voice, same location,
same room,
voice, two different people, two different devices. Well, it's some similarities in the devices from two people who just until recently didn't know each other.
That's incredible. See, so that's actually like, I don't know who that ghost is specifically speaking. I don't know what their name is, but it just like, it's so interesting how you kind of seem to have such a structure in that place specifically. We could go on and on about Old Jail, which I'm not going to do, but like, that's just really incredible. And what an overlap. I love that.
I'll send you that clip and some of the others from that event that we had there. And yeah, I absolutely heard yours and went, I know that voice. I know that voice.
We talked to the same guy.
This is what's so important about sharing in the field. Something that's so lacking. Just things like that adding together. It's incredible.
We have full circled in a way I never expected.
When we are off air, and I don't mean to do this to our viewers tonight, but when we're off air, because I have to handle this with kid gloves, I will tell you a story about what happened after we visited Castillo de San Marcos. That will.
I have so many stories about that place. I've been there like 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times.
Yeah, like
it's awesome.
I did it 4 times. And I did one time go inside with just my S box and just listened and basically spoke and was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry about your experiences you've had here. I'm not trying to be invasive. I just wanted to tell you that I'll represent us and say I'm sorry." And spoke to them in Spanish, and that was really cool. They basically were like, "Okay, good, thanks," and moved on. I love the Castillo. I love St. Augustine. It's great. Everything's haunted there. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I think Erin, who's in chat, who's also the host of one of our shows, Well, That Was Weird, where they deal with a couple of psychics dealing with the metaphysical in the real world. It's a great show. She was doing a little Spanish while we were there because we did get a chance to kind of sneak away a little bit and do some EVP work, but another story for another time. The next one I have is Welcome Home.
So this EVP is actually from my childhood home. I had moved out. I had been living out of home for a while, and I hadn't been doing much investigative work in that house because I felt like I pretty much figured out what was going on there. But one day I wanted to, because I was talking about my house specifically, I wanted to put a recorder in my basement just to see if anything weird or strange would happen. And this was what I heard.
Okay. It's a welcome. So
yes.
Let's see if you hear welcome. All right. At what point for, because sometimes we gotta like amplify these.
Right. So you want to go more towards the end. So where the biggest part of the clip is the back end of it. You hear the wah, 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 and then you hear this like, and then there's the back part. So the very end of the clip is really where it says the welcome home, and then a name I used to attribute to was Cat. And when we did our review, it sounded like it said welcome home Cat, which is the same voice that we've attributed to somebody that was in our basement who liked to say weird things. And like when he would leave EVPs, he would be very, very cryptic and makes like his voice was very deep, and he'd always talk very like like that. Like, welcome home. And I was like, bro, why? Why you gotta be like that?
Yeah,
Why
that
you gotta
sounds
scare
pretty
me?
like welcome home. That sounds
Yeah. A great EVP he left at one point. This was when the other team came in. If I had those recordings, I would have sent them to you. We got a recording of that same voice going, "The black cat is at the door," and I was like,
No.
"What?" Like, we have a witch in the basement. I swear.
I want to play that again, Tharyn. Now that
Yeah.
so now you know kind of what we're looking for with the larger decibel spike at the end. So let's do it one more time. Okay.
Hate that.
I have my speakers on low, and I could hear that.
Yeah.
Don't like that guy.
Now I saved the last two because these are my personal favorites. And the first is only 3 seconds long, but this is Phasmabox, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is the title of it?
Dead. Dead. We're dead.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, yes. I'm sorry. I was like, huh? Yeah.
Okay. I didn't put any graphics on this one.
We're for some I'd have to hear it now because my brain just went, you don't know anything.
It'll only take up 3 seconds, so here you go, y'all.
So that was an S box. That was in there was a cemetery that I used to investigate. When I started my career going out and investigating, doing lives, I would always go to my hometown cemetery because that place scared me and I wanted to not be afraid of it anymore. And that is the voice of a ghost named Oliver, who we had hung out with quite a bit. And I used to ask him existential questions all the time. And in that response of I told you we're dead, was me trying to be like, so how would you describe yourself? Like, how do you see yourself in your position? You know, trying to get an understanding of his perception of it. And that's what he said. He goes, I told you we're dead. I'm aware, Oliver. I meant a little, okay, never mind.
That's awesome. Good on you, Oliver. There you go. It's like
He was very blunt. Like, I'd be like, hey, Oliver, are you here? And then I get like the S box would be going and he'd be like, what? What do you want?
I'm going to hit that one more time then. Told you we were dead.
They're aware. If that's anything, that goes to show that some are very aware that that's what's going on.
Right. You know, and they've come to go. But that goes back to the question in the first hour about, you know, the self-awareness and the free will. And I think a lot of times, not to get off track, but people like to say they're trapped here because that gives whatever they're doing a little more impetus or credibility or importance because I'm saving a spirit. And I'm just not a big advocate of that being as common as we're led to believe. That's all. I mean, in a nutshell, that's how I think.
1,000%.
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite is the last one, and I labeled this yes, it is. Because right at the end of the clip, when you asked a question about the identity of this entity, I heard at the end, yes, it is. So much so that I just amped up the end a little bit so everybody could kind of share that. So
you'll have to play it and then I'll explain it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right, here you go.
And no EMF reading at all. Not a single jump in those numbers.
Mary, if you're still here, if this is you,
Okay, so 2 things. That's also from my hometown cemetery. something I got a lot in that cemetery was whistling. And what you hear after I say Mary, you hear, well, what I've always heard and what other people hear is somebody whistling a song very ethereally, like it's very reverberating. I did not hear it when I was first in there. I did not hear it at all. It was only after I got home and reviewed it that I was like, wait a second, is that whistling? And that happened so much so that it be like I have a whole separate file of just whistle responses I've gotten. Somebody whistled hallelujah, London Bridge is falling down. Somebody whistled yes and no answers to me multiple times. I'm getting pointed at.
Ken's got experience with the whistling.
We had an entity in the cemetery that only communicated via whistling, and they would count in whistles, and it was fascinating.
Countless times on different cases, sometimes repeat at the same place. Whistling, I don't know if it's the music or it's easier energetically. Doesn't always happen. But, oh my God, I could cite chapter and verse about whistling that we have gotten in response to whistling.
Whistling has been such a prominent thing in that area, and I would say there's a lot of reason as to that besides the fact of like circumstantially it might be easier for them to be like rather than hello. So that's something I could touch on at a completely different time, but yeah, I love that one. It's one of my personal favorites.
Now let me ask you this, did you hear the yes it is at the end? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I was aware there was something there. I thought that I had taken that as I thought that maybe I was mishearing it, but I'd always left a note on the original document that I made about it that I was like, this is saying something. I just couldn't figure out exactly what it was saying.
I'm gonna play it again because I heard that it was very, very faint in the raw file. So when I amp everything, it's just for the audience to be able to hear it. I'm not altering any or filtering anything. So let's listen to it again. And at the end, that hard whisper of, yes, it is. Okay.
And no EMF reading at all. Not a single jump in those numbers.
Mary, if you're still here, if this is you,
that breathiness, that yes it is, makes sense. Mary, there's a whole story that I could get into about the 2 years of work I did with this spirit to both gain her trust and to solve a mystery, and also find a new mystery. But she passed away from tuberculosis. And when she spoke, she always spoke very strained, and she always spoke very whispery in EVPs, and that's how I would always be able to tell that it was her talking.
Right. But you like, again, the response at the end is in total context to the question asked. And when we always preach, like, ask a question and then sit back for a few seconds, let it, that follows right along with that, because you got your whistling and then maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds later, you get the answer. Yes, it is.
Yes. I did a lot of EVP sessions. I got so many EVPs from that cemetery. Sometimes it was like one lady pops in. I was literally sitting, I was like asking a question. And then I heard this woman go, you have to get the shoes off of the rug. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? But she was very good with EVP. She left more than anybody else did. When you asked her a question, she would very much be like, yes, this is not me. Hello, I am here. That's the best way she communicated. And it was so often that I almost thought I was making it up because I know how difficult EVPs can be to get, but she was so good at it. So good at it.
Yeah, I think that some people have a knack of, we tend to fall into that box where we hear questions. And it's like, I'm not going to say we because I'm not claiming it.
I don't claim this negative energy.
I try to come up with different questions than the 50,000 times they're being asked. And I understand, I'm not casting an aspersion. You're trying to get information. But some people have a knack, whether it's the language. A lot of times I try to speak in that generational vernacular. If it's from Victorian times, I try not to use contractions. And I hate it when people say, if you could speak to us, that'd be really cool. And it's like they don't know what cool means.
Oh yeah. Also, creating the environment of safety and also protecting that environment and making them feel safe. In Mary's situation, she was buried next to her husband, who was not a good person, who did some things. And I did everything I could to make her feel safe enough to talk. And once she did, oh, buddy, that was it. And she was sassy. I'd be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. She was like, where have you been? If I hadn't been there in like longer than a day. It was that's the music, the vernacular, knowing like conversationally how to speak to people. When you're just like, well, that's dumb. And they're like, huh? Or we use our common nomenclature today. If you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, my guy, and they're like, huh? What?
No,
like, what is Sigma? Like, what are you talking about?
Put a code on.
Communication breakdown is something that I've actually been very concerned about in the paranormal community, with how vernacular and nomenclature changes so dramatically a lot, that if we don't think about how we're communicating and effectively communicating, even to people that lived 100 or so years ago, we're missing out on so much. Of people be like, I'm not dealing with this. Also, AI is another thing that concerns me with what it is that we do.
Right.
Everything can be AI now. So I had people, I'm doing reviews on evidence. I have over 57 gigabytes of investigations that I need to get through. And somebody was like, oh, you just use AI to go through it. I was like, no. Because I know first of all, I know where the clips are. Second of all, I don't want the prospect of manipulation in any variety of what it thinks it's hearing versus what I know is there, because I'm trained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I mean, there's an art to saving these things, putting them on a hard drive, archiving them, etc., and so forth. And you learn, like, this is what I need to hear. I need to hear 10 seconds before, 10 seconds after.
Editing, not manipulating. If you have to like pump it up or pump it down or like do some noise cancellation, there's a finesse to it to do it without ruining the integrity of what it was in the first place.
Right. If you're using a recorder, just set it on half volume, because it's always easier to increase volume than to get this rattling and decrease it. And then your EVPs sound like a mess.
Yep. Then it sounds like the broken drive-through speaker at the Wendy's that you used to go to, and you're just like, hey, are you here?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man.
There's no way to do that. And then when you start filtering it, then you get sounds like you're underwater. So it's like,
but also knowing your equipment, when your equipment spikes or or hiccups, knowing that hiccup is not an EVP. And that's something that I've tried to help teach people. Like, some recorders have had issues and some of them do weird things, and depends on manipulation, like electronic interference that happens. You touched it the wrong way and it might sound like a whisper, but there are key differences. You're listening for sounds of like language, diction, accents. You're listening for different like bump syllables. There's so much training that we have to do on our own. We learn and then we have to practice. It's a skill.
You learn cadence. If you get proficient enough, you hear voices under other voices. That is probably the most difficult thing to do right there.
Oh yeah.
I want to bring George back in.
Yes.
There's a good question, and I'm going to put this out there for Mary Beth, and then I'm going to vamoose here for a bit. Tharyn, have you encountered many animal spirits?
So animal spirits in different varieties. So I have seen and experienced animals in spirit. If we're just saying in spirit, I saw a ghost horse once in the cemetery that I investigated all the time. I saw like a full-bodied apparition horse because it's been understood and has been recorded that you sometimes hear like the of the funeral cart going through our cemetery. It's a very well-known documented thing. And one day I was out doing an investigation with my whole team and I was like, that's a horse. But that horse is kind of see-through, so I don't know what kind of horse that is. But if you're thinking more in like the ethereal sort of space, yes, I worked with quite a few different people who work with animals or have guidance that comes in a more animal-like form. Ghost pets and loved ones in that regard as well. I have to remember though, they sit in a different space, so they sit a little bit lower to the ground, and I have to look down, and I forget to do that sometimes. If I'm being honest,
It's like down here, down here.
it's just like meow. Like I've also experienced ghost animals in spaces. I've in my own home, I've experienced like you feel that cat jump on you and walk on you, and you're kind of sitting there and you're like, "Am I losing it today? Is that a bug? No, I think that's a cat, but there's no cat. Oh no, it's a ghost cat."
It's amazing that that our loved ones, our four-legged friends and family, that they're around us still, and that in
Yeah.
the afterlife they're waiting for us. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, they're
Because
a part of the
nothing brings us
journey.
nothing brings us more joy. I don't care what anybody says. I have to acknowledge a couple of people from the Boo Crew that said some very kind things. Lit Klein said, great podcast. The hosts are informed, respectful, and funny. Love it. And Arizona Wolf, I agree. This is fantastic. And I think the biggest compliment, if they're cool enough, recognize Tharyn's awesomeness, they are cool enough to subscribe to.
These are my
So
soldiers.
thank you so much. All of those wonderful gestures. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to talk with the time remaining about this show that you have been teasing.
Yes.
You posted a few videos out there about right now. I think it's in production, correct?
So we finished filming. We have done our filming portion, and now we are putting things together. We are working with a wonderful production company. They were incredible. The show is actually headed up by my partner, Rebecca, Rebecca the Ghost Guide on the internets. This was her passion and her project, and I was thrilled enough to be invited to come along. The concept is wonderful. I can't go into too much detail without having
Here's Rebecca.
checked in with her.
Rebecca, can we talk more in depth about it, Rebecca? What do you think?
Rebecca, whatever you want. I don't want to out you in your process. I love how I'm communicating with my partner in your I love this. This is internet. This is real internet.
Here she says, give some more goods. Go ahead.
We're blending the possibility of can people be taught and comprehend psychic abilities, as well as using investigative techniques to validate those experiences. And my partner is a wonderful teacher, has been such a driving force in helping people be grounded and to validate and build people's psychic experiences, as well as teaching them how to do it for themselves. And the show is a reference to how one can do this. And it's not like, oh, go Stevens. It's not like that. It's very calm. It's very okay. Guided through. You've got two wonderful people. You got her and I coming together to help teach people how to utilize the tools that they have and to grow those tools within themselves. And I have no idea about release dates. I have no idea about that process. That would definitely be more her, but I'm thrilled to bring a different perspective to the paranormal media. A lot of it is investigating. A lot of it is storytelling in its own way. We would like to showcase a different side of that story of how one can come in and validate without it being like a wah kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Now, do we have an idea where this will be published?
YouTube. YouTube, if I recall correctly. At least if Rebecca could correct me. Rebecca's channel will be hosting the video when it comes out, and she'll have all of the things that that you need to know with her. I will share as I can when I have that information, but at the time, this is the knowledge that I have per what I've been told, is per what my partner says in your chat today.
Rebecca, if you can put the link for your channel in the chat, I'll put it up on screen. So give me that when you get a chance, sweetheart, please. That'd be great. As I bring Ken back on screen and we wind up this interview, let me just ask one little bit of advice that you could give out there for the investigators, for those that are just starting out, for those who are seasoned and are just looking for a change because the results are not there. What type of advice in their communication with spirit would you recommend?
I would recommend subvert your own expectations in fun and exciting ways. If you find yourself in a position to grow, learn, and communicate, be confident as you go forward. It's not about being right. It's just about understanding. Even the best psychics have times where they're wrong, and even the best investigators can make mistakes. When you put the passion of what the reason behind what you're doing is, hell yeah, let that be the strength to help you to recalibrate as you move forward. If you're a seasoned investigator, you're like, why can't I get those things? Treat it like you're hanging out with your friend. Act as if like you're just wanting to get to know somebody and be their friend. Bring them a snack. They love snacks. And don't be afraid to expand the horizon of thought, because truly, with what it is that we do, anything is possible.
Tag that 1 hour 56 minutes. There was a shadow over your right shoulder, so you guys check that out. Ken, any final questions for our guest before we get out of here?
I think the one I kind of glossed over before is I want to talk a little bit about how you feel when a spirit is about to make contact. Is there a spider sense kind of thing going on? How do you feel that a conversation is about to take, or contact is about to take place?
I always refer to it as, there is a disturbance in the force. If they're coming in close to talk, it kind of feels, it depends, honestly. If I'm kind of in a place and I'm like feeling it out and I start to feel it close, it'll kind of feel like a tripwire, like something goes, there's somebody trying to communicate, or it'll get hit where they're trying to communicate specifically, because some people communicate via like their ears, their eyes, they see things, they use like intuitive senses on the inside, empathicness. I feel out where that feeling, like where it comes and where it hits. So if somebody comes in and is like, hello, I am here, be like, okay, let's check the sources. Is it like a visual? Is it a auditory? Is it they want to appear, or is it like a feeling? And I basically have like little tripwires, and I also do this thing that I like to call psychic echolocation, where I kind of push my energy out to kind of vibe. It's not disruptive. It's just very much like, and then, okay, so we've got at least that amount of people. Let's see if anybody's going to approach. I have a lot of fail safes and a lot of checklists in place. So it's so subjective, because there's so many different ways spirits can communicate, especially when you're a psychic medium. So I've got to basically be like fully open and ready and engaged, and then see which one they decide to go with. If they want to be like, I am sad. Oh, okay. What is sad? Let's figure out sad. What kind of sad are we feeling? Ooh, sad. That's a lot of sad. You know what I mean? So it can be difficult to specify. If you put me in a spot and you were like, how are these ghosts communicating right now, Tharyn? Well, first of all, depending.
Yeah, again. I guess I would like to close before we close up shop here by thanking all our viewers, thanking the Boo crew for coming in and joining us. And I hope you find other things on the channel you enjoy, but most of all, just to extend to Tharyn one more time, and I'll repeat it. You've been a perfect guest for the kind of shows we like to do, Tharyn. Thank you so much for coming on and This has been informative and it's been a lot of fun. So please, sometime down the road, whatever happens, come back and see us again.
Absolutely. It was truly an honor. I am thrilled to have even been seen. I'm thrilled for the ability and the time to, in a place where the greats have come, people that I highly respect. This is such an honor. I couldn't even begin. I might cry. I don't want to talk too much because I have like $40 of makeup on my face. I don't want to mess with that too much.
And once again, stick around when we leave, and George will set this up because I got a story to tell you.
I'm so excited. Sorry, guys. Boo Crew, Best Crew, thank you so much for being so supportive of this place.
All right. My goodness, they took over. Don't forget again, guys, please hit that subscribe to thumbs up if you're willing and wanting to join us on our Patreon. We'd love to see you there. Until then, my name is George Lopez with Ken DaCosta, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all next week. Till then, have a great rest of your week. Tharyn, stay right there. Don't hang up.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips.